Today, I eat some chips. John transforms, and Ben says aluminium.
Perfect.
Welcome to the Artisan Series with Architechne. Of course, I'm one of your fantastic hosts, Jeff Cole. With me today is John Label, another version of John Label, and of course Ben from KEF, and we are at the Music Lounge, which is incredible to behold and to share. We're going to be covering a lot of stuff today. A few of the things that we're going to be covering is one, why we're partnered with KEF and we lead with KEF with every design, and what the KEF differences are. We're also going to cover architectural speakers. They're wireless speaker systems, they're theater speaker systems. Of course, because we have Ben here today, they're subwoofer systems as well, which is going to be a touchy subject. Along with that, I mean, you haven't been on film that often. I think it's been a few episodes since you've been
It
here.
has been a couple episodes since I've been here last. It's good to be back.
Yeah. We got a lot of feedback that people wanted more Hawkeye.
Well, can you blame them?
No.
Right? Yeah. Okay, do my best.
I think both versions of me today are going to be really exciting and something that the audience really enjoys.
It's going to be so good. I know you're used to whiskeys.
Or cheeseburgers.
Or cheeseburgers. Now we're doing vending machine snacks. And today, unfortunately, we're going to do like 10 of them, but the marketing company couldn't afford more than 3. So we're stuck with that. But the other piece of it too, we have Ben with us today.
All right. So, thank you very much, guys, for having me on. And thank you guys for
Pleasure.
For coming over. So we'll get the handshake properly eventually. A lot of practice required. Yeah, so I'm Ben Hagens. I'm the product training manager for KEF and the subwoofer product manager as well. So many hats. And my role is basically to wax lyrical, talk about the products, talk about why KEF is so important, and also bring great subwoofer products to market as well.
What's the piece of tech that got you into this industry?
The piece of tech that got me into this industry was the humble bass guitar. So
Tell me more.
I'm a 22-year bass player. When I went to university for something completely different and got a phone call from a friend sort of towards the end of my studies. And it was like, Ben, we're about to kick our bass player out, but we're about to sign a record contract. It's like, do you want to join? It's like, well, yeah, why not? So my journey into hi-fi has been from a music side and through the initial performance of music and the writing of music. And being in a band that's touring, doing albums, it's not a 9-to-5 job, right? And if you ain't making money, you're spending money, right? Local hi-fi store happened to have a job opening, Christmas temp. And so, okay, so I'm interested in the performance, the creation of music, the recording, the performance. The next logical step is
They're
the
so
reproduction.
complementary.
Yeah, it's the reproduction of music. So I applied for the job. I didn't get it initially, but the guy who did get it didn't turn up on the first day. So I got a phone call and said, do you want to get it? I was like, yeah. That job lasted longer than the band did.
That happens more often than not, as I'm sure you're aware.
Oh, absolutely. One of our biggest brands when I was in that retailer was KEF.
Interesting.
My first proper pair of speakers were the original anniversary LS50s.
And proper pair is what would it be like an improper brand?
Ooh, now you're fishing for something. I'm going to plead the fifth. See, I'm learning about American things now.
We could be talking about the history of probably you as long as the whole episode could last, or at least for a couple of hours, Ben. However, I know the audience wants to know why we lead with KEF and what the KEF difference is. And I know there's a couple of other friends in the industry that I have that also sells KEF first. And so for us, what's important, I think, and to you, is to make sure the audience knows the 4 pillars and a couple of other unique things that KEF provides that are unique to you guys. So let's get into a couple of these things. So let's talk about the depth of the R&D department that you have on staff right now. Let's talk about the Uni-q Driver and how magical that is and why that's in almost every KEF product known to man. Obviously, the tier 1 manufacturing, what that means and why that should be important. And obviously, you've got another little thing that you're going to bring up too. So let's get into some of those things. Let's start off with the depth of the R&D.
Yeah, so KEF is one of the very, very, very few loudspeaker manufacturers that actually has a complete R&D department. So we do practically everything. So well, certainly all the acoustic design, all the mechanical design, etc., is all done in-house. And that was something that was brought in by our founder, Raymond Cook, from the very beginning. Everything we were doing was completely in-house. And actually, the R&D team is still on the same plot of land where the company started back in 1961.
In the shed.
New buildings.
Okay.
The shed's not there anymore.
They've updated some things.
Yeah, there's now bricks rather than just corrugated metal.
Big step up.
Big step up. And you know, I love going back to Maidstone, you know, and going to the R&D department because the quality of those people is just awesome. And it's not just acousticians that we have on the team. We have research physicists, metamaterials expert, we have subwoofer expert, we have mechanical engineers, electronic engineers, and we're not just learning about the science of sound, science of speakers. We're learning about the science of sound. You know, there are some things that they are doing which will never come out as part of the speaker.
Well, and this is why you guys are so innovative, and you're at the cutting edge of so many things. Most things work out. Not everything does, right? That's what happens when you're experimenting.
That's what research is.
Yep.
I mean, even the modeling software that we do is actually self-written. We actually wrote our own modeling softwares, and everything we do gets fed back into that process. So if an idea is thought of and it's like, okay, this should work, but then it doesn't for whatever reason, that info gets fed back into the system and becomes part of the modeling algorithms.
The most innovative, impactful piece of product, that's all I can call it, that has come out of KEF, in my opinion. It's kind of it's a audio differentiator. There's nothing else like it on the planet Earth. It's a one of a kind, and that's your Uni-q technology. It's unbelievable stuff, and it's one of the reasons of the many why we selected KEF in the beginning when we founded Architechne. Let's talk about it.
So everything starts from Uni-q. Absolutely everything. Uni-q is the absolute core of what KEF does acoustically and technologically. Like every other, most other technologies that we do, like the Tangerine waveguide, single apparent source, makes Uni-q better. So everything starts with Uni-q. Practically every product we do has a Uni-q driver. Okay, the subwoofers don't, because it's a subwoofer.
But they may.
Nah, that'll never happen. Yeah, like the headphones that we've done don't have Uni-q, but practically everything else does. And what's amazing is we have this technology in our $225,000 pair of loudspeakers, and we have that same core technology trickled down into our entry-level $350 for a pair in-ceiling speakers.
It's amazing, and I can tell you that, and you're going to add a bunch of this, but the Uni-q Driver, this is something, if you go to the KEF website, come to one of our showrooms across the US, we have plenty of them on display, and it basically inserts the tweeter at the exact plane as the mid-range, and so it's even beyond a coaxial design. It's just, again, it's unique to KEF. It's a single point source product that, I mean, if you think of a human being talking or a trombone playing, these things come from one single point source. You don't have my voice on a tweeter, a mid-range, and a woofer coming from three different, or in some speakers, you get dipole and all this other stuff. It's from one single point of source on the product, or from my voice, and how it reproduces frequencies is just unbelievable. And the other big thing for me that's really important, because we install so many different audio products for so many different families, not just one individual who sits in a room by themselves all day. we need a product that can spread the sound evenly and disperse it across large rooms for multiple people to enjoy. And of course, Atmos, that's a huge benefit as well. And so the Uni-q Driver, I want to make sure you guys understand this, 160-degree dispersion with 0 frequency change. Close to, right?
Yeah, so as you move off, typically as you move off axis with a loudspeaker, you start losing the tonal balance. And that could be for various reasons. I mean, it could be a phenomenal speaker when you're straight on axis, but as you move off axis, things change, right? And listening to music and certainly watching film is not necessarily a singular person event. It's not something that somebody does by themselves. You know, family, friends, etc. You know, and you want to share. Exactly. Yeah. Share that experience with everybody else in the room. I mean, I love to say music is 7 billion different things to 7 billion different people, but that is that particular person's kind of sort of opinion on what music is. So with having Uni-q, having that big, wide spread of sound, we're just giving that same experience for everybody in the room for them to make their own minds up about what that piece of music means to them.
Well, and you brought this up before. As a matter of fact, we talked about this yesterday, where you want to recreate this sonic event for whoever is listening, and how the musician or the director intended initially. And I have to say, whether it's in ceiling, in wall, on wall, flagship tower speakers, theater systems, I mean, it does amazing work in all of those categories.
Yeah, I would one thing I really never want to say about our speakers is this is how something should sound. Which sounds a little bit strange, but let me throw into that a little bit more.
We say unpack it. Why don't you unpack that? You throw into
I'll
it.
Unpack
we
that.
Unpack. Okay.
See, I'm learning. When you say this is how something should sound, there is a degree of subjectivity there. You could color the equipment in a certain way, maybe boost the mid bass, bring down the top end a little bit.
And there are brands that are known for this, by the way. And some of them get accolades because of it, whether it's amplifiers or preamplifiers or speakers, whatever it may be. And they intentionally do it.
That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
But what I would love to say is this is how it sounded. As I say, we are recreating a sonic event. And the key word there is recreating. Now, I mean, remember, every single time you listen to a recording, that recording is never live. As in, it's not happening at that precise moment in time. It's already happened. The event has happened. Right. We're just trying to bridge that gap between when it happened and who it happened with the audience, with the listener. If you've got Harry Belafonte, 1959 in June in Carnegie Hall, right? You want to be getting the floorboards of the stage creaking. You want that really annoying person sat next to where the microphone is in the audience, just doing that one extra clap because they think they're special. And you want to really hear that Harry had his 3 guitarists lined up on the left side of the stage. If you've got, that's what you want to hear. It should be warts and all, right? If you've got awful mini disc recordings of yourself and your teenage band playing awful Nirvana covers in your garage after you've been playing guitar for only 2 weeks and think you're better than Kurt Cobain, which wasn't difficult.
Were they playing? You're playing where?
Garage.
No, I didn't.
Car house.
I just want to make sure we're all.
That's going to sound awful, but that was the sonic event.
Yeah, that's such a cool perspective, and that's going to live with me for a long time because I never looked at things that way. And I've been in the audio industry, since I was 14 years old, and so super cool. And I'm very agreeable with that position, so I appreciate it. Big education the last couple of days.
I think it's that natural recreation of sound that you guys look to achieve each time that is really special for our clients. People don't have trouble knowing what an explosion is or what a car crash is. It's those smaller nuanced details. It's the voices and actually having intelligibility that of words that clients are really after, and those things really come through from the Uni-q Driver that you guys use.
But it's also hearing everything around those notes. With good hi-fi, you're not listening to recordings, which is weird because that's exactly what we're doing, right? You're experiencing performances. And a performance is not just the notes that are played, it's everything else around them.
Yeah, I think, so one thing I think this is based on some staff and also from our customers, is there's a confusion around your Uni-q driver and a coaxial driver, because there's other manufacturers that design great coaxial drivers, and they're not the same.
No, they're not. But again, you would be absolutely forgiven for thinking that they are the same thing.
That sounds so nice, so eloquent.
They look very similar.
Just forgiven. I'm going to say that to some customers.
So yeah, they look very similar. And things with a coaxial speaker, the two drivers, the mid-range, the tweeter, they are aligned on one axis. Okay, so the tweeter's either in front of or behind the mid-range, right? With Uni-q, so this is beyond coaxial, it's what we actually call coincident, because the two drivers, the tweeter and the mid-range, coincide at the same acoustic center. So they are aligned on every axis, creating that single point source. So the sound that comes from the tweeter and the sound that comes from the mid-range, that they are always going to be equidistant to your ear.
Do we want to get into our first round of chips that we're going to taste and rate out of the vending machine?
The hospital vending machine snacks?
Marketing, throw me. Boom. I played sports. These are the three that we could, these expired too, to get these for free. Is that what happened here? These are the three that our marketing team approved. I don't like any of them, but I'm sure this will go well. None of them have cayenne, so John is safe. And they're all out of a vending machine or out of a giant box at Sam's Club. Either which way, we're gonna get into these. We'll start with the Cool Ranchies. There you go. Oh, see, that's why you beat me.
He plays sports.
Let's get into these. Well, he still plays them. Okay, well, let's open this up. You can SJ anything. All right.
A little shake job.
This is, so we eat them, we'll go through. Ben, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still confused as to what ranch is.
It's not real. It's a fake product that people just like the flavor of. Have you not eaten one of these before? Is this your first time? All right, well, you're a Cool Ranch virgin.
This is perfect.
Let's get in there. Okay, so what do you think?
You can keep it.
All right, let's get rid of it. What do you get it on a 1 through 10?
Can I give it a negative something?
That we got 0. You can go 0. But it's one. You mean if you had to survive on this to live, you would eat it?
No, I would go out into the ocean and just drink the seawater. This is bad.
Sorry, Doritos. So you gave it a 1, is my guess.
0.1.
Yeah,
Not,
the lowest possible it can ever be. Okay. You decide what the scale is.
we got Johnny. Oh, it's still affecting him.
It really is. I'm looking at the bar right now, going, what's going to just cleanse my palate?
The Highland Park 12 year would be an excellent option.
At least one the Everclear.
See, this is one of my favorites. One of my favorite snacks of all time, so.
That's how it was selected. Fantastic.
Not my first time eating it.
Yep. What do you give it?
I'm going to give it.
This is a popular chip, Ben, this year. Very popular.
Sorry, I've got no issues with dragging on popular things in this country.
Love it.
All right.
An 8.25.
Oh.
Jeez.
I'm going to go with the 6. This is a nice, you know, if this was sitting there, I was really hungry, I wouldn't jump in the ocean and drink the water. I would probably pop this bag open and have a couple. So I would love to be the one to explain this, but I think you've said it best. And so Ben, if you don't mind taking on What does it mean to be a tier 1 manufacturer?
Yeah, so we're a vertically integrated tier 1 manufacturer, and what that essentially means is raw materials come in one end, finished product comes out of the other.
And you're a part of every step of that process.
100%. 100%. I mean, even the raw materials, etc. Because we don't have our own aluminum mine.
What you can call it whatever you
Can
want.
I call it aluminium?
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
It sounds so much cooler.
It does.
Yeah.
And you know what? Even more importantly, it sounds right. So we make sure that we're working with the absolute best raw materials vendors that's available. And anything that we do, like the screws, no, we don't make the screws. I apologize. But even that, we're working with the screw manufacturer to make sure that we're getting absolutely exactly what we need to our spec. The level of quality control and the quality of product that we have is only possible being a vertically integrated tier 1. We are, it's a bit of a cheesy kind of phrase, but masters of our own destiny in regards to product quality.
We've also been, aside from the tech piece of what got you to the industry, we also do hot takes now. So do you happen to have a hot take for our audience to get them excited about what do you got?
I've got 3 that I'm thinking of.
Hot takes, plural.
No, we'll just do one. This is going to annoy a lot of people, especially on Reddit. So my hot take is there is no such thing as a music or a movie subwoofer. First off, subwoofer has got no idea what you're sending to it, whether it's movie or music. I mean, find me a movie that doesn't have music, and so much music now has huge amounts of depth, especially like electronic music, right? The subwoofer should be as accurate as it possibly can be. And your choice at that point is, does this subwoofer do the SPL levels that I need in the room or system that it's going into?
Okay, so we've talked about the KEF difference. We've got an amazing hot take on record. Now we're going to jump into all the different applications that KEF provides that you can utilize in your own home. So we're going to hit architecture speakers, the wireless all-in-one systems that they provide that are, one of them is one of the best selling in the world, if not the best. And then of course, theater speakers. So far, if you enjoy what you're seeing, and again, we're only into one bag of chips, so don't get too upset about it. I'm being told that ranch is real. We'll talk about that later. But if you like what you see, make sure you like, subscribe, the bell. What is your favorite vending machine snack? Put those down below. I don't want to see any Cool Ranch Doritos down there, and clearly Ben doesn't either.
With our architectural products, we are performance first. And we didn't want anybody to feel that they were being penalized in terms of performance just because they don't want to see the speakers, right? I mean, a lot of people go with architectural speakers to get speakers out of the way. They don't want to see them. Performance is often the secondary thing for a lot of people, but we didn't want to do that. We wanted to take what our box products were doing and basically put bookshelves in the ceiling and floor standers in the wall.
And you have one of the best demos we heard here, where you're in wall speakers, and it sounds like a giant pair of towers on the side of the wall. And by the way, this product is not expensive.
No, no, not at all. I mean, with that particular system, that was a pair of our 200 RRs, or RSs, because they're the square ones, with 2 pairs of our 200 QSB subwoofers.
And your amplifier
the Casa 500. So
what does the Casa stand for?
Officially, KEF.
Unofficially.
Yeah.
We're an unofficial station here.
It's kick-ass subwoofer amplifier.
Let's go.
So it's our DSP loaded subwoofer amplifier for the in-walls, which has a really cool feature in that it has a high-passed line output. So that's what we did in that wall over there. So we're basically taking the 200 RRs, or RSs, sorry, adding the 2 subwoofers, but rather than it becoming like a 2.2 because they're stereo subs, we're basically turning it into like a freeway system.
And it's amazing.
In the wall. So we've got the, so this is the CI250 RRM-THX because apparently we can't do really, really short model names. But this is $2,500 retail each. We've got a pair of them in the ceiling there. They're about 8 foot apart from each other. And one of the guys yesterday stood right here and actually thought, based on the imaging, thought it was the blades that were
A $35,000 pair of speakers.
Yeah.
Right.
So based on the imaging, not necessarily the performance, but on the imaging. Because what these were doing, and I think we were playing Sitting on the Dock of a Bay, so a cover by Sarah Bareilles.
Really good too.
And where her voice was coming from wasn't from above, it was actually imaging down into the room, about halfway up where we got the TV mounted on the wall. So it was in front of you. And when you're stood here, when you're sat in that sofa, those speakers are not in your eye line. But it seems like that soundstage is right in front of you. I have never come across an in-ceiling speaker that actually drops that down into the room.
And this is a true 3-way design.
Oh yeah, there's a 10-inch woofer behind there.
That's insane. So you got the Uni-q. I mean, this is sick.
They're by far and away the best in-ceiling pair of speakers I've ever heard.
At this point in time, if you're setting up a new AV system, whether it's in your living room, your bedroom, a theater, an entertainment space, outside, you should consider some type of Atmos system. And those configurations can be one of many. Placement's important, but again, it's less important with KEF because of the wide dispersion. It gives you, it's forgiving, if you will.
Very, very forgiving.
Well, and you've seen this before too, and I'm sure you've worked with your integrator, or if you have worked in an integrator in the past, if you're building a new home, they want to put in 18 speakers in your ceiling to match the light cans and everything else. Whereas we can cover the same with 2 to 4. Last thing I want to wrap up with the architectural speaker component is it's different than other trades. You have speakers that start at literally $30 a pair, all the way up to, as you've already heard, $5,000 a pair, and everywhere in between. And so when your integrator or your friend is trying to educate you on the different possibilities, if you love music, you want to go as high as you can go that fits within your budget. Also keep in mind too, when you're doing architectural speaker design, the copy-paste method is also another fallacy. If you listen to a pair of speakers in one room, say it's a primary room like a kitchen or a living room that are in ceiling, they shouldn't match the speakers that are in the laundry room. You should step down the speakers that are in the laundry room to step up the speakers in your main listening areas so that you can get the best overall sound in the most livable spaces and keep your budget the same.